Welcome back to another episode of Life Advice You Don't Hear in Church. My name's Tiffany and hit subscribe to see more videos like this, or share this video with a friend who's also struggling with body image. First of all, thank you for your incredibly sweet comments these last 2 weeks as I've finally been back to YouTube. I have felt so loved. And one of you in your comments said this: can you talk about fears about getting older, aging, beauty treatments, body image, etc.? This is something I'm wrestling with as a single in my 30s and never hear Christian women talk about. And I think this can definitely take a whole new level as a single person. I think there can be a lot more pressure on this topic. So if you're feeling that, I think that's normal and you're not alone. So I think body image comes in layers like an onion, and you get one peeled off and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm so free. This feels amazing. I love myself. And then something happens that triggers the next layer being cut into, and it hurts like heck. Maybe it's a comment somebody makes, maybe it's a big life transition like marriage or a breakup, maybe it's pregnancy or a body changing or a sickness. And all of a sudden you're like, ow, no, what's going on? I thought I dealt with all my body image stuff. I thought I was free, and now I am triggered and I'm struggling, and this is so uncomfortable and I hate this. And slowly this next layer is being peeled away, and then suddenly you're like, oh my gosh, that trigger was leading me to my freedom in a deeper level. There's a whole nother layer that's peeled off and I feel so free, and you're feeling great. And then eventually there's another trigger, and it just layer after layer comes off. I know that's what my journey has been like. Has that been true for you guys too? And the triggering part is so uncomfortable. Like, you just want it to be over. You're like, I don't care. I don't want to be more free. If you're anything like me, I don't care. I was fine how I was. Can we just go back to that? And then down the road, you're like, oh wow, I'm so thankful that I went through that, because now I'm so much more free. So I'm going to share the recent trigger and layer being peeled off in my life. And then I'm going to talk more specifically about being in our 30s, because I'm in my 30s too, and getting older, and what that looks like for me, and also how that might affect people who are single. So 3 years ago, I got pregnant with my second daughter, Eliana, and my body put on 80 pounds that pregnancy. And I felt so out of control. I'm like, I'm eating intuitively like I have for years. I'm sick as a dog, like vomiting up to 5 times a day for the first part of my pregnancy. I'm like, can barely walk, I can barely eat. Everything makes my stomach feel sick, and I'm just gaining weight and gaining weight. And gaining weight was always a big fear of mine. I struggled with an eating disorder when I was in college, and I finally have Ellie, and I'm like, now I can lose this weight, right? It'll just come right off. I'm breastfeeding like 16 times a day, and I can't lose weight. I can't lose it. Like that 30 pounds that supposedly comes off shortly after pregnancy did not happen for me. And I'm like, what is going on? I'm doing everything I know to do, eating intuitively, listening to my body. Nothing's changing. And I was so frustrated, and that was a huge trigger for me. I was like, God, just like get the weight off. I don't even want to deal with this. I don't want to be freer. I just want to go back to how things were. It was good enough, you know? And I've heard somebody say once, when you feel super uncomfortable, pay attention to that. It means there's healing to be done. God's at work there. There's something going on. And that really reframed the trigger for me, because for me, it's like being triggered is the worst thing ever. Why can it just never happen again? And instead to reframe it as like, this is a sign to pay attention and to lean in. I hate that phrase because it's so cliche, but that literally is, it's like you're leaning into the discomfort. You're like embracing it. You're like, okay, God, let's do the work here. Get counseling, get help, get whatever I need to do the work to figure out how to heal from this. One of the things I did was I went and bought clothes that fit me, that I felt beautiful in. And that was a big step for me, because growing up, I felt like it was vanity. If you wanted to do your makeup, if you wanted to straighten your hair, if you wanted to buy cute clothes or anything that wasn't $2 in Salvation Army, I felt like that was vanity. Like I could not prioritize my body because that was vanity. And I started to embrace, like, it's okay to want to be beautiful. And that doesn't mean you have to be a certain size. It just means finding things that you feel beautiful in, wanting to create beauty. Like if we look at the world around us, God clearly is a lover of beautiful things. Like, look at this world he made, you know? Like, and to be able to say, okay, it's okay to want to create beautiful things in my home, for my body. It's okay to do my makeup. It's okay to do my hair, to find things that help me feel beautiful right here and right now where I am. Another thing I realized was that I have spent my whole life hiding behind things, whether that's a body of a certain size, thinking, well, people might not like me, but at least they'll think my body looks good. Or behind my husband, people might not like me, but at least they'll like my husband. Everybody likes James. People might not like me, but at least they'll like my girls. They're so cute. Who couldn't like my girls? I've always hidden behind things, worrying about if I was enough. And I felt like this forced me to come out of that hiding a little bit, to say, hey, here I am as me, and I don't need my daughters here with me to make me worthy. I don't need to share my pregnancy journey as an excuse. I can just be worthy right here and right now as I am. And I realized that whenever there were people who I thought were more attractive than me or more cool than me, I felt like, oh, they're not going to want to be my friend. Like, oh, like I just felt awkward and like I couldn't be myself. And I started slowly, not completely, but slowly being able to be me and embrace that this is who I am and I am worthy to be here. I am worthy to be in this space right now, even if I'm not as cool or as quote unquote culturally attractive in this moment than this person is. Like, it's not about that. This is who I am. I am the same person now that I was when I weighed 80 pounds or 40 pounds less. I'm just as worthy as I've ever been. It turns out I had postpartum thyroiditis. My thyroid wasn't working correctly, and I very slowly, over 2 years, lost maybe half of the weight I had gained. So then in recent months, Ellie finally started sleeping better, and I was able to get more than 1 to 2 hour chunks of sleep at a time. My thyroid was being regulated. And once I started sleeping more, I started losing weight more easily. And so now I've lost like 70 of the pounds that I had gained. But the biggest thing is I'm able to be on the far end of that layer peeling stage, right? Instead of the beginning where it's like, make it stop, it hurts. Now I'm on the other side where I'm like, thank you, God. Like, thank you for this journey over the past 3 years that has been so uncomfortable for me and not something I wanted to go through. And yet, thank you for making me go through it in a sense. I don't want to say God made me, but like, thank you for letting me go through that, because it really has brought so much more freedom to come out of hiding and to be who I am and own that. So here I am, I'm in my 30s, I'm 36 right now, though some days I forget how old I am. My daughter can always tell you. And I've realized that it's not vanity to want to take care of ourselves. It's not vanity to make time for exercise that we enjoy. It's not vanity to put on makeup if we want to, or to buy clothes that we feel good in. It's not vanity to have a skincare regimen in the evenings. So for me, I have my face wash and face lotion that's like anti-aging cream, but like the healthy stuff that I do each night. And I try to make that a priority. I prioritize my exercises in the evenings. And honestly, I like how I feel in my skin and in my body when I'm exercising. But I do want to just share, like, if you're in your 30s and single, I think there's extra pressure, because our culture says if you want to catch someone's attention, you got to look your best. And you're competing against everybody else around you who's single, who now are all in their 20s, right? So there's like this feeling of pressure. But what I learned in my 20s, and granted, it's totally different being single in your 20s than being single in your 30s. I don't want to compare the two because they're so different. But something I learned was that I spent so much time trying to be attractive that I lost guys' interest, because I was just focused on who do I think they want me to be? How should I talk? How should I look? Just so focused on that I wasn't just standing in my own worthiness. Like, I am worthy to be in this space with this person, no matter what they look like or who they are. I'm worthy to be here and to just hold my own. I think the hiding behind what I looked like in my 20s actually made a lot of guys lose interest in me, who were initially interested and drawn to me not because of what I looked like, but because they'd see my personality, they'd see my passions, and they'd be interested. And then I'd be like, oh, they're cute. I have to like be cute and feel insecure because I don't think I'm worthy to be here. And then they'd be like, oh, she's boring, and like lose interest and move on. And I wish I could go back and tell myself, like, hold your own. You are worthy to be in this space. And if you want to talk more about the idea of singleness in your late 20s, early 30s, James and I have a whole course of everything we want to share with you. It's called Updating the Christian Singles How-To Guide. It's linked down in the comments below. You can get 20% off with the code YesPlease. But yeah, that's linked down below, and that shares everything we want you to know about working on yourself, learning to love yourself, the things you need to do in your own life, and the hurdles that can be keeping you single, how to go about getting a relationship. Or I feel like I don't look like the girl guys are looking for. How do I step out in confidence and get their attention anyway? Those are all things we talk about in that course. You can find that link down below. If there's something I've learned over the last few years, and I'll close with this, it's that being attractive and sexy, it's not about being a certain size. It's not about looking a certain age. It's about standing in your worthiness and owning it. And if you're like, that's not true, guys, go for the pretty girls. I can think right now of a handful of guys who are extremely attractive that I personally know, great guys, and they did not go for the girls that our cultures say are the prettiest. Instead, they went for the girls who they connected with on a deeper level, who had that confidence and they were drawn to that, and they said, I like this girl because I can laugh with her and she's beautiful and she's sexy and she's funny, not because she looks a certain way, but because of who she is. And I think that confidence and connection is what stands out. So I love you guys. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for listening. Bye.